I do not consider myself as a free woman when all the other women are unfree, even when their shackles are different from mine. It was said by Audre Lorde back in 1981 in National Women's Association Conference was held at the United States. So ladies and gentlemen, my dear fellow interactors, Rotaractors, Rotarians, and of course, my dear fellow audience. Welcome to one of the episodes of the Someone's Daughter Volume 7 initiated by the Rotaract Club of University of Sri Jawaharlal. So today, will be joining here with me is not just a regular person, I would say. She's sort of like an icon to basically to all Sri Lankans, as for 𝐒𝐫𝐢. So actually, if I just like speak a little bit about herself, there's a lot, but I sort of reduce it to be honest. So she's a global fundraising manager, an expert in campaign strategy and resource mobilization, and of course, not simple, 12 years driving in the international UN and INGO campaigns. See, it's not that easy, dude. So ladies and gentlemen, and once again, let's welcome, it's none other than, you say your name.
Subhashi Nanayakara.
It's none other than Subhashi Nanayakara. Welcome to the official podcast of the Someone's Daughter Volume 7, organized by the Rotaract Club of USC.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, I mean, we are honored to have your presence here as well. So, prior we move on to the big business about, the big stuff and whatnot, just tell like, how was your day went yesterday and what are the current updates about yourself? Basically, let's say about your both professional life and maybe a little bit about personal life. How's it going these days?
So for the past 21 days, I've been running 21 kilometers every day to raise funds for women affected by domestic abuse for an organization called Women in Need. So today I'm feeling really achy and the past 3 weeks have been crazy. Balancing the children, the home life, running, and also kind of going to different locations to run. So all the logistics and everything behind it.
Which means like 21 kilometers every day for 3 consecutive weeks.
Yes.
Ooh, that's tough, is it?
That is tough. And I don't think any woman has done this in Sri Lanka.
So you could be the first woman who has done that, accomplished that.
In Sri Lanka, for sure.
That would be I would say that would be a good benchmark for all the women who are present in Sri Lanka as well. That would be really, I would say, a good lesson too. All right, so let's move on to the big business, shall we? Okay. So let's say actually these days, for the management faculty, we'll be having exams actually.
Okay.
So because of that, I'll be getting that thought that now currently I'm a third year student. So 6 semesters are up. I'm always getting the thought that, okay, come on, Manish, I'm very tired. Let's stop it actually. The degree is done. Because the finance it's very complicated. It's always hitting my head like, okay, let's stop. I actually can't. But simultaneously, that's like small side of my side. It says that, okay, come on.
That is voice.
Exactly, that small voice.
Yeah.
Say that, Renish, only 1 year is remaining. Let's carry forward and finish in a big way.
I mean, I think, go big or go home. But I think you can definitely go big.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what keeps me driving.
And I think the mind, if you have a strong mind, you can do it. I don't think anything. I think if we set ourselves to believe in something, we can definitely reach that goal. Yeah.
So I'll throw that question for you. What is the motive which keeps you driving every single day that I need to do this song?
I've always been a very ambitious person. I've always known what I want. And I've been kind of this person that, reach for the moon, and if you can't, you'll land in the stars.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Ever since I was a small child, I just, I always thought I would be like the Director General of the UN. It's crazy, but that was my ultimate goal. So yeah, I'm kind of trying to work towards that. And if someone else can do it, why can't I?
Exactly. If I'm not mistaken, that was a Japanese philosophy, is it?
I think so. But it's also my words, so maybe it's just, what I've come up with today.
Is it? So in my perspective, I would say the one thing, if I get onto one single word which keeps me driving forward, is, to be honest, it's the word success.
Success, yeah.
How about you? If you compromise it to one single word.
Something that drives me.
Yeah.
force.
Force. That's good, Daksh. So force is the one that keeps you driving you forward every single day. That's a very good fact. So it's a good lesson for y'all as well. All right. So if I'm not mistaken, it was back in 1997. There was a woman actually. All right. Back in 1997, there was a woman. She was a single mother and she struggled with depression, anxiety, and lots of mental stress. To be honest, like she was an author. She was an author. So she published like one single book, but it keeps getting rejected by so many ways. But one day, her book got accepted by a certain publisher, and that book spread worldwide. Basically, a global hit. Any guesses who's the person is?
No.
It's none other than J.K. Rowling's on the Harry Potter.
Okay, yeah. I knew that.
Exactly.
It's like a lot of people that also get rejected a lot.
That's it.
Yeah.
So, the main reason that she did as like in the conference, she said that the main reason that her life was turned was her family. She was a single mother. I'll throw that question for you.
Yeah.
What was the turning point in your life to achieve so many things?
So I always wanted to achieve a lot of things. But I think this is I had a lot of difficulty talking about this, but now I've kind of come to terms with it and I feel more comfortable in talking about this. I got very sick in my 20s and it was really hard. And I feel like, after that, I was given this like second chance at life. And I think that kind of also was a big decision to why I moved to Sri Lanka as well.
Yeah.
So I never grew up here. I grew up in Switzerland. And I did a big part of my life in the UK. And I think for me, that was a real turning point. Like you take your life for granted until you don't know what's going to happen to you.
Exactly.
And I think that was my biggest turning point.
So which means like when it comes for like, I do have a personal question, like taking the life granted, it will directly affect negatively for you, for me, for everyone, right?
Yeah.
So like basically what do you mean by taking the life granted?
I think we all think that, we have this set amount of days and we have this set amount of time to get these things done, like, oh, I'll keep it to next year. I'll keep it, I can do this like when I'm done with this. But I think it's so unsure. And I think we need to live our life to the fullest every day.
So, if you can remember this previously mentioned about the J.K. Rowling book by Harry Potter. So, because of that, I sort of get a small question from my end. I think it was back in October 2024, you wrote a book called Narcissist.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
The Narcissist.
Yeah.
That's the name and everything is super fancy. So, I asked this question from my end. Like, the word narcissist, it has a very wider meaning, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's, I think it's on the spectrum, the word.
Spectrum.
Yeah, because you are a narcissist and that term is defined in like a big spectrum. Yeah.
Big spectrum. So, what's the main reason that you decided to throw that word in a particular book for the fellow audience of Sri Lanka?
Because it's about someone who is like that.
Is it? You can take time you want. You can explain it.
It's a personal experience, actually. And it was a very turbulent time in my life. And I decided to write my thoughts. It was so turbulent that for the first time, I actually had to see a therapist. Well, not the first time, but I had to really do counseling to get myself out of a situation that I really didn't know. But I didn't actually know who I was. And then she told me to write my thoughts in a journal. And then I thought that this writing is actually really good. And then when I was going through it, there were a lot of people who were coming up to me and saying, this happened, like, this is happening to me, like, I don't know, I'm behaving a certain way, this person is behaving a certain way with me. And then I thought that this book could really be something very handy for people to have. And I don't think people really talk about it. And I think even the word narcissist, like, to publish a book like this in Sri Lanka with a word like that, I thought like I'm going to get loads of like hate messages from men. But actually a lot of men also bought my book. I think that's really good. And I had this book signing.
Yeah.
And what was really nice about it was that a lot of people came up to me and said, your book really helped me. I've come to realize this, family relationships with friends. And yeah, I was really happy that it became, this kind of like a guide for people who,
struggling.
Yeah. This could be in the office, this could be friendships, this could be, mainly with your partner, and it's everywhere.
Easy. So I'll like that book, when you come to that book, what's the most favorite part on that book which was written by you? Probably it could be a message for the audience who are based there.
So I've written it in a way that is it's a different style of writing. I think it's very unique as well. You describe this person as this like puppet of, moving you in different directions, and you're not really knowing what's happening to you. And it's quite it's a story, but at the same time it's a guide.
It's like
it kind of goes back and forth.
It's like a basically similar for a course manual. So
a bit more artistic than a course manual, but yeah, I that would be really boring if it was a course manual. But I would like to think that it is a bit more artistic and poetic than that.
It's like very more weight for the cultural stuff rather than going with the traditional book writing and what.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. I mean, that's a very good message for us also. Like, if we have something, we could get it onto a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be purpose for the commercial, but we can, give it as a message.
So I think for me, it was mainly something to kind of close a chapter. I think it was, for me, it was just letting go of like a chapter and writing it and putting it together meant that it was kind of closure,
It's more self-relief.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm just asking, any more books that you are hoping to publish on future?
I mean,
about
people have been asking me to write about different things and to publish books. I don't know yet. I need to find something deep to write about. Yeah, maybe next one could be about like toxic traits in friendships.
In friendships?
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously we could, see it on a lively basis on a 24/7 actually.
But I really like talking about taboo subjects as well. And, I'm a very blunt person. And I think a lot of people also in Sri Lanka don't really want to talk about certain things, certain subjects.
Because of the culture?
Because of the culture. And I think, I just don't really care, And I think it's good to put it out there. And I think if it can help people, then I'm all here for it. I've always been, I always wanted to use my voice to, help people.
That's the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
Probably that's a very good, I would say, inspire for the people who are presented here, who still have their thoughts grabbed inside their, I would say, deep, so they could, write it in a piece of paper, publish it. It's good for other people also.
Yeah. No, we'll see.
Not gonna lie, but I'll definitely buy the next book that you'll be purchasing, including the narcissist trick.
Nice. Thank you.
All right. So, that's very good stuff, actually. So, as you know, when it comes to the Someone's Daughter Volume 7, is like mainly focusing on gender-based violence. Basically, mainly focusing on women's gender-based violence, which was encountered by them. So, if I'm not mistaken, it was back in 2019, there's a certain woman called Susan. She was living in USA. So, at a certain particular day, she was arrested for, to be honest, to murdering her husband. So when the police officers asked what was the reason why she murdered her husband, the answer which was given by her really was surprising actually. What she said was, her husband tortured her mentally, not physically, mentally. Said unusual stuff, said, unnecessary stuff to her on a daily basis. Like, as an example, she's useless. You don't say that to those people, right? That was the reason why she murdered them. So that's, if I'm not mistaken, that's what we called gender-based violence.
Yeah.
So in that case scenario, the gender-based violence was not physical actually. It's mental.
Yeah.
In your case, how do you define that? Why do people cause gender-based violence on a mental basis? Is it more weight than the physical gender-based violence, or the mental one is like provide more consequences for the people?
I think it's very different. I think they're both equally as bad. You have financial abuse, you have domestic abuse, you have physical abuse. I mean, it's again like a really wide array of things. And I've seen it all through my life.
Is it? You can take that all you want.
It's really hard. And I've seen people, shrink to like a really small person. They don't even know who they are. They even think that whatever they say is wrong, because they're always put in a position where they are to believe that, like people think that when they talk about something, people, how should I put this? I think it really disturbs their mind. I think they change as a person.
It will definitely like influence to the confidence also when you get attacked by here.
Yeah, and I don't think you really know who you are anymore. You become a totally different person.
That's the thing. So like basically for the Sri Lankan people who are presented there, what are the, I would say, that methods or they can use to prevent those sort of, mental harassment that they'll be getting on a daily basis?
I think we need to talk about it more. I think we need to be more vocal about it. We need to build a strong community around this where women feel safe to be vulnerable and to talk about certain things and not, be believed. And for women to believe women and people to believe women. Because I think that in our culture, in our society, when you say, oh, a man has done something, he said something, it's kind of like rejected.
Is it? That's the nature.
It really is, and I've seen this a lot. If a woman does something, like a man would leave the child and, go on his business trip. But if a woman like leaves the child and goes away, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe that mom is like leaving the kid and going. Like, I've had that. When I used to go to the field, like a few moms here have told me like, oh, I can't believe, your kids are small. Like, I can't believe you're going to the field and you're doing this work, But if my husband left, it would be fine. I think in the society where we live in, if a woman says that her husband did something, it's been like, oh, but I think you did something to make him behave that way.
It's reasonable.
And we need to get out of that narrative.
Yeah, maybe. That's nice actually. As I would say, very good lesson for the people who are watching here.
Yeah.
So, like this would be sort of like a more acknowledgement for the people. Are there any, let's say, it can be a services, or are there any places where women can actually to do complaint about those sort of mental harassments that they'll be getting on a daily basis?
So there are organizations that work around this. There are that offer also, therapy for this. But it's also, I feel, what I've heard a lot is that a lot of women also feel scared to come forward.
Which means in Sri Lanka, we don't have a proper platform for that.
Yeah. I think it's getting there, but it's very slow.
So, I mean, you can see the comparison between the Sri Lanka and, let's say, Switzerland and UK when it comes to that platform, is it?
I think in the UK, it's very widely spoken now. And people really, there's a lot of media around it. And it's not a taboo subject.
Like, why do Sri Lankans, let's say, especially if you focus on women, why do they sort of more scared to come in front of and speak about it?
I think it's just culture. It's families. It's upbringing. We don't want to kind of say something against our family because it's going to hurt our parents, or, people will perceive us differently. And I think that's something we need to break.
So do you think that we have a confidence in when it comes for a country which is like more focused on culture? One day I'll be able to break that chain.
I'm sure we can.
Eradicate.
I'm sure we can. It's going to be baby steps, but I'm sure we'll get there. I always have faith in humanity, and I think I always and I love my country, and I think I want to believe, and I've always been a believer.
Yeah.
That we will get there.
That's the spirit actually we also want to hear. Because if as an example in a country like Sri Lanka, we are more focused on culture. So not just women, as we men also, we are sort of scared to speak about stuff.
Yeah. And you know what? After moving to Sri Lanka, I obviously went and did a lot of projects on the field, and I've helped a lot of communities. And a lot of people before moving to Sri Lanka told me, there's no point in moving to Sri Lanka. You can't fix this country. There's no point. Why are you here? Why are you giving up the Great West to come to this country? And, I still had hope and I still have hope that we can change things. And I have seen it. I've seen it in front of my eyes that you can change
it.
Yeah.
I mean, one day, I'm also hoping, not just me, most of the people, majority of people are hoping, based on the news that we'll be seeing on a daily basis, that barricade will be breakdown. It's going to be benefit for all the country.
Yeah.
Not just social, it will impact for the economical and other cultural aspects as well. And this is a very, I would say, a small question from my end. When it comes to the gender-based violence, I mean, do you know some people who has practically got influenced by gender-based violence, and after that they have to face some negative consequences because of that, like real-world examples?
Loosely, yes. So in the UK, I worked in rape and domestic abuse. So I was a fundraiser of a great organization in the southwest of England. And I've seen a lot of cases.
Is it?
Yeah. And I've had to deal with a lot of cases, on a daily basis. Traumatic ones as well.
What's the main reason why those sort of things are occurring? Probably there could be a small reason, right?
I think the way people behave as well comes from deep-rooted trauma. It's also people who haven't faced their issues. And there's a big array of reasons why someone would behave the way they do. And that's why I think support is very much needed. So don't you think that we can basically prevent the thing called gender-based violence? The main fact is it's about the family that we'll be living. If we able to fix the family that we'll be living with our parents and brothers and whatnot, don't you think that it will indirectly influence to prevent those gender-based violence? Of course, I think, how you bring up your son in your household, how you teach your son certain things, that has a big, big impact on how you raise that boy to become a man.
Yeah.
And in Asian cultures, I also see a lot of, parents being okay with a boy behaving a certain way because it's fine, right?
Since we have guys,
yeah. And girls are thought oh, you should act this way, you should sit this way, you should shrink down, to a man. But when it's a man, it's fine. And a lot of, parents don't even teach their, tell their sons no, even when they're doing something bad. Yes. I see it.
That's true.
And that needs to stop. And awareness around that needs to be raised.
In your perspective, how do you think we can, as guys, and let's say the girls, the males and women and whatnot, how do you think that we can able to raise awareness about it?
I think, we need to start by breaking this cycle, and we need to, have more open communications about things that are really taboo in our society.
So basically, it's about being openness.
It's openness, yeah. And I think it's also, growing up, if you see a boy behaving a certain way and their parents not doing anything about it, it's actually going up to that parent and being like, can you please, and I've done that. I have been that mom.
Oh, that's super proud. So, I mean, like, on that point, you had to address that person, this is wrong.
Yeah.
Correct it.
Yeah. And I believe that, if you try and fix, you'll never be able to fix 100 people, 1,000 people. But if you can fix one person, if you can get through to one person, it'll have like that ripple effect. It will spread, And I always tell myself, if I can, in a room full of people, if I can change one person's mind, then I've achieved something.
It all starts from one thing.
One person, and there's more in people,
That's a very, very top message, actually. I mean, you don't have to change everyone. You can change just one thing.
Yeah. One step at a time, baby steps,
That's lovely. So, now probably like you also have some certain plans regarding these gender-based violence and about women empowerment and whatnot. So why don't you just like give some couple of, if you have sort of like in mind, what are your future plans on here Sri Lanka regarding the gender-based violence?
So I think we have a long way to go. I will always kind of work towards that to raise awareness. I mean, my book was a starting point for me. I think it's also fundraising. I think there's a big lack of infrastructure in this country and funding to have certain services for women. So I think we don't really talk about violence like this, and we pump money into different things like education, WASH programs, but not this. And even, the police don't really see this as a immediate, concern. If you call someone like, oh, I'm being, like my husband is beating me, the cops are like, well, it's not a big, it's not a big deal.
They grant.
Yeah. So that needs to change. I think the government also needs to put in funding towards this. And bring this up, because in the UK, 1 in 5 women are domestic abuse.
Getting abused.
In Sri Lanka, it's 1 in 3 registered cases.
Registered, there might be unregistered cases also.
A lot, because people don't come forward because they don't talk about this. And, when you look around you, it's happening so much.
Is it because I would say lack of awareness? That there might be some certain platform that you can come and talk about it?
I think it's also how boys are raised. It comes back to that, I think it has a lot to do with that. That they, everything comes from home.
Everything comes from, especially for the family.
Yeah.
It's like very similar, like how I'm just saying. It's like a small reflect on how you treat your mom. It's the same exact way on how you treat your wife at future.
Yeah.
All right. So as you know, like this project organized by the Rotaract Club of USA, also known as Someone's Daughter. So how do you think that organizing these sort of a project for the 7th consecutive time will influence to prevent gender-based violence in Sri Lanka? Basically raising awareness.
Yeah, I think it's really good. I think, more than my textbooks and things like that, I think it's really nice to have a community where people feel safe to talk about these issues. And I think, building a place where people feel safe to be understood, but they can come and talk, I think that's a great starting point. So I think, open conversations like these is really the way forward.
I really wish that you could publish another 2 or 3 books about gender-based violence in more future.
Yeah.
That would raise awareness for the people who are present in Sri Lanka. All right, it's on to for the one last question. Okay. Now just assume that we have a certain, let's say, a sort of like time machine on here. You could go back in time, let's say, for like any age that you want.
Yeah.
What's the age that you'll be going back in time, and you can give one piece of advice for your younger self, but what it be and why?
Do you know what? I think every single year of my life has been very transformative, and it's molded me into the person I am today. And I wouldn't really go back to a specific time.
No.
No, I think I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And this is the life I'm meant to lead. And there's nothing, absolutely nothing I would change about it.
It's like maybe you trust the process.
I trust the process.
That's a very creative answer, to be honest. Because like sometimes when I ask that question, they would say, okay, I'll go back in when I was like 10 years old and I'm going to say this and I'm going to say that.
No,
But that's the very first time which I heard that answer.
even the hard times have been, the most educational. So wouldn't go back in time. I'm perfectly fine where I am.
Oh, that's loud. All right then. So with that, we are sort of coming to the end of one of the podcast episode of the Someone's Daughter Volume 7, organized by the Rotaract Club of University of 𝐶𝐸. So once again, Ms. Subhashini Anakkar, thank you so much for joining with us. It's actually an honor to
Thank you for having me.
Exactly, to be a co-host and, to conduct this wonderful session.
It's been great. I love talking about things like this, subjects like this, and talking about subjects that are so taboo.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, so prior to concluding, just give a small piece of advice for the young women who are watching here, like basically the women who can't raise their voice due to certain limitations and whatnot. What could be the best possible advice that you could give for them?
Know your worth, add tax to it, and don't shrink yourself to anyone.
Yeah, that's good. All right, so then with that, we'll be ending one of the episode once again. Thank you so much. Then, hope to see you on future as well. And good luck for your future endeavors. Thanks.
Thank you.